Davey? Davey! Oh my god! What happened to us?
What? Oh my god! Josh, you know what this means?
What?
For Valentine's Day, we got mugged!
Even though I'm a ceramic mug, I still hate you for that.
Do you like fun and adventure? Then sit back and enjoy the Brothers Not Lovers as they discuss all things movies. What's overrated or underrated? What makes you go really? Or how dare you? Or even just simply how funny this movie can be. You have the insightful, intuitive Davey, who is awesome. And you have the film bestie, Josh. He's there.
Hi, I'm Davey. I'm awesome. This is Josh, the film bestie. Or should I say Fat Snape.
Oh!
And this is Overrated, Underrated, where we take a couple of movies or TV shows and discuss whether or not we agree if they're overrated or underrated.
And then we how dare you.
Different video. You need to get it through your head. There are overrated, underrated. There are how dare yous. They are not the same.
Right. Just like potato salad is not made from real potatoes. Gotcha.
That's my guess, eating that crap. So, for the first one, I'll go ahead and start it off this time. A cartoon TV show that is available on several streaming services: Tubi, Roku, Hulu. Canadian cartoon that should have been more well received in this country, but guess we can just forget about it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. A very underrated cartoon. Very funny cartoon. Not for children, more for adults.
And this cartoon is proof that you're all racist against Canada. So am I, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it takes a lot of shots at Canada. It's kind of the premise of The Sopranos meets Goodfellas.
Meets the Flintstones.
I guess, yeah. A capo in the mafia kills a Don to save his uncle Cheech, and because now he's got a hit on him, he cooperates with the FBI, rats out his friends, and they put him in witness protection, and they take him and his family to Saskatchewan.
To the town of
Regina.
Whatever.
And we go through all their hijinks. They even have a Canadian Mountie serving as their witness protection liaison, who likes to constantly praise Canada, but while secretly taking shots at Canada a little bit.
Yeah, we don't do stuff like that.
No, we do not. For Nevada, where adults buy their teenagers alcohol instead of raising them.
For Nevada, we put the Tory in statutory.
For Nevada, well, welfare checks go into casino slot machines.
For Nevada, our elderly are crackheads.
For Nevada, where our rent is so high you'd think these places were in New York.
For Nevada, the place of legalized slavery in the form of low wages.
For Nevada, when it's icy outside, that's your problem.
And finally, for Nevada, she's afraid to show it. She's obviously not very attractive. I've ran out of stuff.
Obviously. But yes, forget about it. If you like mobster movies and TV shows, like we do, then you would find this cartoon very entertaining. But sadly, it only got 3 seasons because it was underrated.
Man, they drew the daughter in that hot. Now, for our next, how dare you?
Overrated, underrated.
What he said yesterday. In light and spirit and darkness of what we just spoke of, that which was named About It, forget. I'm bringing in another cartoon. Drawn together.
And?
It had naked cartoon characters in the uncensored version. What am I doing here?
You're discussing if you think that it's overrated or underrated.
Dude, it is way underrated. Don't you ever say overrated again.
It had a decent run for 2 seasons. The 3rd season, it was funny. It got some laughs out of me, but it was kind of meh compared to the 2nd and 1st season.
It was gold all the way through, except for the movie they did. But the whole thing was gold.
Like I said, I don't know. Like, I loved the first 2 seasons, but then the 3rd season wasn't as good. It was kind of like, at the end of it, I was like I said, I laughed through some of it, but it was like, okay, it's time to end it.
But yeah, so, drawn together, to all you who bashed it, how dare you?
We're not doing how dare you. We're doing how...
I'm just saying how dare you. I'm not
okay.
how daring it.
It wasn't really bashed, though. It was just, like I said, people liked the first 2 seasons, and then the magic kind of wore off. I mean, it was an interesting concept, combining different types of cartoon characters with the real world, but,
The voice of Princess Clara. She was the slutty girl in Senior Trip.
Good to know. Yeah, I just gotta say, I disagree. I don't think it was underrated. I liked it at first, but I think they kind of peaked with the episode of Xander role-playing about coming out to his parents.
That was the best episode ever.
It was, and it kind of peaked, and then after that, they just couldn't live up to it, in my opinion.
You couldn't beat that.
They couldn't.
No one could.
Especially considering after all of that role-playing, his parents just reacted with, duh. Well, for my next one, another...
Dude, it's my turn.
No, you just had your turn.
When?
Just now.
Like now?
Like now.
But when will then be now?
Soon.
How soon?
Now. So for my next underrated, a movie that I thought it was a very good follow-up to 2 very good movies, a sequel that we had waited a long time for, and gave an interesting premise. And I'm, of course, talking about Predators. What do you mean, eh? It was a great concept. Like, we'd seen Predator, where it was in the jungle. Then Predator 2, where it was in the city. Then we saw Alien vs. Predator, which was okay. And then we saw Alien vs. Predator Requiem, which was an abysmal piece of crap.
I actually liked that one.
Ugh. And then they were like, what else could we do? I know. Let's have it to where they go to the Predator planet.
What movie did you watch? They went to that 70s show.
They didn't. Topher Grace was in it, but that was it.
Yeah, playing Eric Foreman.
That's the only character he plays ever.
Exactly. That's why I loved everything about this movie, but he was enough to be the poison that made me go, eh.
He did the part just fine.
Oh yeah, he just stood there, his big reveal, his bad, mucky acting. I'm a serial killer.
First of all, his acting's not bad. It's just one-dimensional.
Very one-dimensional.
And secondly, they wanted one of the predators, the human predators, to be an unassuming serial killer. Who would be more unassuming than Topher Grace? Like,
he's unassuming for anything. There's nothing you can assume him being cool of.
He wasn't supposed to be cool. He was supposed to be kind of dorky doctor kind of guy who it turns out is living a double life as a serial killer. He did the part just fine. If they needed that kind of a person, Topher Grace was perfect for it. Adrian Brody, I will say, at first I was like, really, you're going to have him be a badass? But he actually kind of worked.
His poor career. He needs to get better treatment.
I'll give you that. But it could have been worse. They could have had the doctor played by his brother, Adam. It was a good movie. It was a good concept. Had Danny Trejo. Had Lawrence Fishburne.
I'll admit I cried at the end. You know, he finally got away from the Nazis and played his piano again, but...
That was a different movie.
Oh. For our next severely overrated, I consider it the abortion that lived. The Sandra Bullock vehicle known as Miss Congeniality. This rancid piece of crap that turned all of Americans into dumber human beings. We're so dumb, we think the world is flat. And it's because of movies like this.
What are you talking about? This movie was brilliant.
It was stupid.
What was wrong with it? It was funny. It was well casted. Had William Shatner as a beauty pageant host, which I could actually see.
First of all, William Shatner could do no wrong.
Okay,
so it's not his fault this movie was garbage.
This movie wasn't garbage. This movie was funny as hell.
It sucked.
It even told you the perfect date.
What's the perfect date?
April 25th, because it's not too hot and it's not too cold. All you need is a light jacket. The movie is very funny. Okay? You got Sandra Bullock beating up Benjamin Pratt, for revenge on him being such a sissy and Demolition Man.
Oh yeah, he was in that.
Yes. Being denied a cookie by Michael Caine. Michael Caine!
Hey, I never said there was anything wrong with the casting. Alright? There was
movie.
nothing wrong with the casting. Great cast.
There was nothing wrong with the movie. The sequel, definitely something wrong with it. The movie,
They made a sequel?
sadly yes, and it was terrible. Then again, Sandra Bullock doesn't make good sequels. Speed 2, Miss Congeniality 2, heard she's making the kind of hard to see side. I love this movie. I think you do like this movie, you just don't want to admit it.
No, I don't.
You want to watch it, you want to see it, you want to smooch it. This movie was not overrated.
Very.
This movie was perfectly rated.
It sucked. Move on.
For my final movie, I'm going to do one that is actually overrated. One of those.
See.
It is. It's one of those that people keep putting in lists like, oh, this is one of the greatest teen/college movie type movies I ever. So funny, so wonderful, has great casting. The movie is boring and stupid and has one of the worst actors in it. And that movie is Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
You shut your mouth.
Nope.
It's a classic.
Yeah, a classic piece of crap.
Look, I know Sean Penn sucks as a human being, but this was like the one good thing he ever did.
He didn't even do that well.
Well, nobody was paying attention to him. They were paying attention to Phoebe Cates' boobs.
That was the only thing to like in this movie.
Hey, Jennifer Jason Leigh too,
This movie was terrible. Okay? First of all, everybody goes on and on about Spicoli. Spicoli's so cool. Spicoli's so fun. First of all, the worst impression of a surfer ever by one of the worst people in the world. And I'm sorry, but everybody loving Spicoli wanted to be like Spicoli. Spicoli was a horrible human being. Kept interrupting this guy's class, making it to where nobody else can enjoy the dang class because he's an idiot. Borrows a car, crashes that car, frames a school, and gets people crippled by the big jock on the football team who actually owned the car, never taking any ownership. What a great guy! No, this movie was terrible. And the thing was, I was told how great this movie was when I was a teenager. Watched it, bored out of my mind, fell asleep.
It's because you weren't high.
That's the only way this movie can be funny, is you're laughing because you're already high.
Okay, you see this, America? And other countries that might watch this, both of them? This is the guy insulting Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but loved Miss Congeniality.
Miss Congeniality was funny. Miss Congeniality had actual jokes. This just was like, if you're high, you're like, haha, he got fired from his burger shop.
It's a classic, dude.
It's not a classic. And even then, I watched it as a teenager. Everybody keeps going on and on about it again, says I need to give it another chance, so I did. And I'm still bored. What was funny in it?
Everything.
Nothing. Nothing was funny.
They practiced, on carrots in front of the class.
Oh, hilarious.
It is hilarious.
That's only funny to you if you're 5.
It's funny to me now.
Point in case.
From the guy who liked Topher Grace in Predators.
Yeah. That wasn't supposed to be funny. That was supposed to be some losery guy that turns out to be a psycho.
He was terrible in the role.
That's because you lack vision.
Hey, shut up! You're the one who has no vision. You're wearing glasses, stupid.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High was overrated.
A religion needs to be based around it, like Star Wars. We'll call it the Church of Spicoli, where everything is totally awesome. And we eat pizza in class.
And then go beat up paparazzi?
No, we just watch girls climb out of swimming pools with their tops off. So, underrated. Now, I'm not saying this was a great movie, but it deserved a little more love. Because it introduced us to Marky Mark in sci-fi. It showed us how hot Estelle Warren was. And it showed us how hot Helena Bonham Carter could be if she was a monkey. And that is Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. I mean, Planet of the Apes remake.
Oh, you're half crazy. That was a terrible, terrible remake. That remake sucked. And it's sad that it sucked, considering it did have a great cast. It had Helena Bonham Carter. It had Marky Mark. It had Tim Roth. And even had a special appearance by the original star of Planet of the Apes, Charlton Heston. It had the late, ever so great Michael Clark Duncan. And yet it sucked freaking hairiest of balls.
It was great.
It was not great. It was terrible.
It was the kind of movie that the schlock you see in a drive-thru when you're trying to make out with your girlfriend because her dad doesn't like you. It was perfect for that. You can get bored halfway through, and while you're kissing her, you're imagining Helena Bonham Carter as a monkey.
First of all, as much as I love Helena Bonham Carter, not as an ape.
I don't know, that movie got me conflicted. Now I think we need to change some laws.
You're the reason we have AIDS.
Hey! When Lisa Kudrow plays an intelligent horse and you get all hot for her, don't come crying to me.
Don't worry, that won't happen.
Oh, it'll happen.
No. And I'm sorry, but it destroyed everything about the original. The original was a classic.
Of course it
wonderful
was.
Piece of work. And I figured at that point in time, remakes were not as ridiculously overdone as they are nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, okay, this might be good. We've got more graphics. We got better budget. Because obviously, the graphics and stuff, they did what they could back then. But nowadays they could have done better. And yet they did worse. Because they overdid it with the effects and the graphics. That was basically all they were doing. Like, hey, look how pretty we make this look. With a terrible story. Not to mention, it really killed it for me that all the other humans could talk. That was one of the things about the original that was really great, is he's gone into the future, into a time where apes have started talking and people have started being the ones communicating in grunts and sounds and flinging feces.
In the book, they didn't fling feces, but they were naked. And they weren't wearing any clothes, too.
Good for them. But in this, the fact that they call all talk, that just kind of killed it. Because you're going to sit there and pretend that they're just mindless animals, even though they can tell you, no, we're not. That doesn't make any sense.
I would never put Estella Warren in a movie and tell her she couldn't talk.
She could talk later, like the one girl did in Planet of the Apes, the second one, when she just said, Taylor! This movie was a horrible, horrible remake. I feel bad for Charlton Heston that he had to watch it and go, I contributed to this?
Damn them all to hell.
I feel the same way.
I just liked it as a so bad it's good movie.
No.
Yeah.
No, not even so bad it's good. Just bad. Terrible.
Underrated in my opinion.
So, there you have it. Forget about it. Underrated. Drawn together. Predators. Underrated. Miss Congeniality was perfectly fine the way it was. Fast Times at Ridgemont High was ridiculously overrated. And Planet of the Apes remake, they should have left it alone.
Dude, I finally figured it out. In Single White Female, Jennifer Jason Leigh was the twin sister.
Hope you guys enjoyed this Overrated, Underrated, and if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications from when we post new videos, and leave a comment. Tell us if you agree, tell us if you disagree. Love you guys.